Good evening, I am Deslin Joseph and I am your presenter for today. Thank you for joining us for SAT-TV News. Among the major developments, Layu residents express health concerns on asphalt plant. Grenada PM welcomes OAS election monitoring. Algeria blockade around 30 hostages unaccounted for. And in sports, Exodus move FC closer to Premier Division competition. Details of these and other stories after the break. Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. Many share their concerns, listen to the advantages and the disadvantages, and argued their points at the geothermal meeting held in Trafalgar on Thursday, 17 January 2013. The activities were funded jointly by the EU, the Regional Councils of Guadeloupe and Martinique, the French Agency for Environment and the Management of Energy. Mr. Sam Abraham gave a global perspective of where the drilling is taking place.
Unlike other power plants that rely on coal or other fossil fuels to create electricity for homes and businesses, geothermal power plants use superheated fluids from the Earth's geothermal resources to generate electricity. The natural heat of the Earth creates geothermal resources. This heat comes from molten rock called magma, located at the Earth's core, deep below the geothermal resource. Over thousands of years, rainwater seeps through cracks at the Earth's surface and collects in underground reservoirs. The magma heats the water until it becomes a superheated fluid.
One of the residents asked, what are the risks associated with geothermal energy and what are the ways to prevent these risks? In response, Mr. Abraham explained that some of the risks may be the gas as well as the instruments used in the process. He added that the fluids may be one of the main risks also.
We are concerned when you talk of environmental impacts and problems that can happen, right? And then it is something that you are removing out from the earth. So there is things like, people have asked questions, will it cause subsidence? Will it cause any other problems, like any other problems with that? So the first thing we do is the subsidence or anything to the ground, and to take care of the water. What we have done there is, that is why this plan or this method that is used of reinjection, this is not done today, but this has been a method that's developed probably for the last about 30 years, where a lot of people had this problem of having to deal with the fluids, and they did take care of it is by reinjecting it back into the formation.
Individuals were concerned about the gas used, H2S, while some assumed that it was dangerous. Mr. Abraham explained that H2S is what you receive from an outflow of any geothermal wave.
Like from your fumaroles, from hot water springs, from any of them, one of the byproducts from fluid coming out from the earth, not only in drilling, I'm leaving that drilling aside. Any place in the world where you've got natural vents occurring to surface, H2S is a component of that thing that flows out, either in gaseous form or comes out mixed with the fluid.
Mr. Jeffrey Charles, Wharton Wavin resident, noted that his major concern is who will be responsible for the monitoring of the project. Another individual asked whether the project will contaminate the freshwater lakes.
The cooling tower water is just a cooling, it is not re-injected, it's actually just a water that is used to cool it, because if you have seen one of that videos, it's just a medium of transfer of heat. But it's like a contained process there, number one, right? Number two, the re-injected water is re-injected at a depth of normally the same depth that is produced or deeper. So the production that we are expecting from the production, if you have seen here, this well was completed at what, 1,200, right? Yeah, 1,200 meters is the depth at which we produce. And where we are going to inject it back is deeper than that depth.
investigative journalist Mr. Lennox Linton speaking out on the leak of confidential documents between the Integrity in Public Office Commission and Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. Mr. Linton says this leak was made by senior counsel Tony Astaphan and no one else. However, Mr. Astaphan is giving the public the impression that it was done by someone else. He mentioned that police officers searched his home on Wednesday, January 16 for the documents which he obtained. The IPO had requested the assistance of Chief of Police Daniel Carbon in investigating how secret and confidential proceedings before the commission concerning Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit fell into his hands of Mr. Linton.
This has to result in Mr. Astaphan being criminally charged, criminally prosecuted, or prosecuted for the crime of public mischief, and prosecuted for the crime of perverting the course of justice. This is not an ordinary citizen of Dominica. This is a senior counsel with more than 25 years standing at the bar who ought to know better than what he has been involved in over these past few weeks.
Mr. Linton stated he gave the officers a document that was in his possession which he felt they had an interest in while they did a detailed search of all areas of his home and vehicle. He said upon completion of the search, the officers thanked him for his cooperation before leaving. The investigative journalist pointed out that the IPO Act requires that the financial affairs of persons in public life are filed with the Commission and must be kept confidential as per Section 20. He stated that Section 21 outlaws the disclosure of such information by members of the Commission or unauthorized persons who are not members of the Commission or not employed as service providers of the Commission.
There were 8 of them in all. The leader of the group, I met at the front door to my house, the entrance to my house, and he indicated that they had a warrant to search the premises for documents they believe may be concealed in my home. I had a look at the warrant, determined it was legit, and welcomed the officers into my home, and indicated to them quite clearly that they had unfettered access to all areas of the residence for the purposes that they had showed up at my residence for.
However, he said Mr. Astaphan was the one who came to the public expressing concern, complained to the police and IPO that members of the IPO were doing things the law says they should not. The journalist revealed that Mr. Astaphan knows very well that he, Mr. Astaphan, since August of 2011 was indulging in that practice.
In my case, I did not get any information from any member of the Commission, any service provider to the Commission, or any employee of the Commission. And so, if you were to look at the strict wording of the law, there was no offense that I committed. I didn't commit any offense by getting from an unauthorized third party who has no connection to the Commission by way of being an employee, being a service provider, being a member of the Commission itself. And so, by a strict reading of the Act, there was no offense created. In terms of Mr. Astaphan, whom I have said is the original source of the leaked information, Mr. Astaphan, by receiving the correspondence that Mr. Skerrit shared with the IPO, by receiving that correspondence from Mr. Skerrit, Mr. Astaphan did nothing wrong. By sending it on to his friends and whoever he sent it to by email of the 25th of August 2011, Mr. Astaphan also did nothing wrong.
We are not another stage, he said, where we have to ask ourselves, what is going to be done about a senior counsel with 25 standing at the bar, who creates a public mischief by seeking to blame others and have the illegally sanctioned for acts he has done. Mr. Linton says the Prime Minister needs to comment more in depth on these issues as he is at the center of it all, who only said that his rights have been violated and people are leaking his confidential information. Now that the Prime Minister knows it was Mr. Astaphan who leaked his information with the evidence to back it up, there should be no more silence from him on the issue. Mr. Linton revealed that Mr. Astaphan is currently out of state and the police needs him back into this control as he is the one who started the complaint. He therefore needs to be questioned so the investigation can come to a close.
Now, I pointed out to the public and I explained to the police yesterday that the PDF, the portable document file that is attached to the email that Mr. Astaphan sent out on August the 25th, 2011, carries a stamp copy, which means that this is the copy that is being held in the files of Mr. Skerritt, and it was from those files of Mr. Skerritt that that document, that confidential document, was taken, the PDF created, and the following day attached to the email that Mr. Astaphan sent around. I explained this, but at the same time, I need to make the point that as far as I'm concerned, we have gotten past this leak of IPO confidential information business right now.
In other news, carnival lovers will line the streets of Roselle on Saturday 19th January 2013 as the official Carnival Streets Parade is scheduled to start from 3 p.m. Events Director of the Dominican Festivals Committee, Mrs. Natalie Clark-Mead, says the complaints of the big bands making the crowd rowdy and vendors engaging in unsanitary practices will be eliminated this year. This is an effort to make the carnival season safe for all who participate. Assistant Superintendent of Police Enzo Iris says, while there is no real threat yet towards the disruption of the activity, members of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force will be detailed to perform law and order and traffic control in and around the city.
The routes for the float from Victoria Street to Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard, and then the float will travel eastwards on King George V Street and northwards along the Great George Street, and then northwards along the West Bridge onto St. Johnson's Avenue. And then the float will move northwards along Elliott Avenue onto E.O. Libler Highway in Pottersville. And the traffic diversion will be done at certain areas. In fact, vehicles traveling south along E.O. Libler Highway will be diverted into Rawls Lane from the Public Works compound.
Vehicles traveling northwards on Victoria Street will turn right into Hall Street, left onto Cornwall Street, and right onto High Street. There will be no parking on vehicles on Victoria Street from the Newtown Savannah to Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard, where it intersects with King George V Street. There is also no parking from Church Street to Castle Street all the way to Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard, and no parking from King George V Street to Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard to Great George Street. This also includes from Great George Street to King George V Street to the West Bridge.
St. Johnson's Avenue, there will be no parking from the West Bridge to E.C. Low Block Highway, and from no parking also on the E.C. Low Block Highway from the D.C. Bridge to the Pottersville Savannah. That has to be done in order to ensure that the floats are not restricted in the free flow of movement, because certainly as the program starts from about 3 p.m., we would expect large numbers of persons on the road and, looking at, observing the activities, and in addition to that, the number of floats. So no parking or vending will be permitted along the entrances and exits to the Pottersville Savannah, including the basketball court area. No entry except for local access only will be permitted on Turkey Lane from Independence Street. No entry will be permitted from the part of Turkey Lane from La Falaise Medical Lab to Fort Young Hotel roundabout.
A no entry will be placed on Castle Street from the McMillan gas station to the Fort Young Hotel area, while one-way traffic will be allowed on Charles Avenue and to the junction on E.O. Libler Highway to facilitate the northbound vehicles. The bus stops will be relocated, as the Point Michel bus stop will be on Church Street from Castle Street to Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard from 1 p.m. till 6 p.m. Motorists are advised to utilize other available streets away from the parade between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. to reduce the delay of traffic as the floats pass by.
Any arbitrary violation of traffic signs and laws will not be tolerated, and I can tell you my chief have already indicated this year is going to be a zero tolerance on persons who have the tendency to violate the traffic regulations in terms of moving our traffic signs when they are posted. The public is advised to cooperate fully with the police to ensure the smooth running of the opening of Carnival. So in a nutshell, one can say that we are on board, we are partnering with the DFC, and we are saying to persons out there in the public, let us work together. Carnival is 2 days coming up soon to enjoy. The opening is really going to be a big one. Let us all cooperate and unite, ensure that no weapons are carried at this on the Carnival days or even at the opening. We are saying to the public, if anyone is arrested during the event of Carnival, we will seek to have them remanded and put away to ensure that there is no problems or any sort of difficulties.
In more news, an asphalt plant is a plant used for the manufacturing of asphalt, macadam and other forms of coated roadstone, sometimes collectively known as blacktop. Layu residents say that they are beyond frustrated with the side effects of the asphalt. On Friday morning, January 18th, the vicinity of Layu was covered with fog, dust and smoke. It became impossible for individuals to drive their vehicles due to the fog, as well as inhaling and exhaling due to the ashes. Some even said that this was a disaster.
This morning it was a disaster in the village of Layu. I tell you, I was sleeping and that waked me up from my sleep. My nose was burning me when I get up. I look on the road, I see a lot of people running with their children, running from their house and screaming, and the whole place covered. You didn't even see houses in Layu, and we need the government to come out and help the people of Layu because we are suffering. I start to sneeze, my nose scratching me. Right, so we need help. We need something to happen in the village of Layu because we are suffering.
Mr. Leston said, this is not a political matter, they need help.
And I tell you, cover the village dark. You cannot see houses, buses passing. You cannot even see the buses passing. No, it just was a disaster. First time I see it, first time they put it, I see that kind of thing is this morning. Is to tell you and to see it for yourself.
Mr. Godson Charles, also a resident of Layu, explained that there were numerous people running from the Layu bridge with their hands over their faces. Mr. Charles said he was appalled at what he saw.
The whole bridge, the whole area, white. You don't see the bridge, nothing at all. Only look up in the air, coming up to Layu. Look, as you could, right now you could see, all over Layu is the smoke, and all them children running and they rubbing their nose. You know, that's very bad for us in the village. We had fight against it, they say fighting against development. So then it's going ahead, so everybody's suffering under it now. So please ask the government, try to do away with that ASPO plan. We don't want that ASPO plan inside there, up there, above Layu there, because it's very bad, because Dominicans, all you know, in South Africa, that ASPO plan, just like that, above a river. And the river come, it take the ASPO plan, it bring down to the village, it polluted the whole village. Now the people have evacuated from the village. Right now, we can't stay in our village.
Another resident said she thought a volcano was active.
The place dark, I cannot see, and I coughing, all my house covered with smoke, the whole area. Come to go by the bay, you cannot see the sea cover up, that is too much. We asking the government to please take that out from there, because we want our life. That's making us sick, and we don't want it there. We ask the government for please to take it out in the village. We don't want it there. It's not good for us, it's not for our health. Doctor cannot do nothing for us.
Ms. Nolda Bully, a vendor in Layu, noted that she had to pack up a stall due to this incident. Ms. Bully assured Sat TV News that this is not the first time this has occurred. However, it is the worst occurrence.
I willfully see a chauffeur take his shirt and cover his nose and he's driving through. He stopped and he asked what happened in the village because he can't drive through the village. The children coughing, their nose running, their eyes, even the adults. I'm a vendor, and this morning I woke up doing my Accra. I had to take everything and take back home. As you could see, this is my umbrella there. I had to stop because it is not good. I can't be selling and then we have that kind of disaster in the village. So please, we're asking the government, we are calling on them. We need help in Layu, we need assistance. If it's not that, there'll be no one in the village.
In more news, the Canadian government and the regional security system has successfully made 24 police officers better armed and educated after receiving 4 days of crime scene first responders training. Sergeant Clem Bruno, member of the RSS Education Committee, says one of the objectives of the RSS Training Institute, of which the Education Committee is part of, is to standardize training within the RSS member states.
In order to achieve this objective, the Education Committee is mandated, among other things, to develop, review and assess training standards and to implement those training once they are developed. The Education Committee met for the first time in October of 2011. At that meeting, it was disclosed that in 2010, with the assistance of the Canadian government, A needs assessment was conducted throughout the RSS member states.
Superintendent of Police Ms. Yvonne Alexander, who represented Police Chief Daniel Caban, looks forward to witnessing the change of attitudes and behavior in their performance. Ms. Alexander believes this is beneficial to Dominica's organizations, the public, and the country. She added that knowledge and skills are vital and explains why.
And more so for organizations like the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, who provide law enforcement and security services to our citizenry in an effort to protect our countries, particularly given the ever-changing and complex security environment in which we operate. Now, when you have to juxtapose this against the fact that there are challenges in relation to resource constraints.
Mr. Dave Flamack, Forensic Identification Specialist, says the instructors did a fabulous job and without them the community will not be safe. It has been a privilege to be in your gracious and friendly country, he added.
The RCMP has its commitment to world-class policing and its international partners in developing the initial Train the Trainer crime scene management for first responders course, which led to this week's events. The experience and expertise shared and the engagement of the 4 instructors ensured that this event and the 2 other simultaneous events taking place in Antigua and Barbados were both tremendous successes.
The Regional Security System was formed in 1982 out of a need for collective response to security threats which were impacting on the stability of the region. And finally, 4 young ladies will take the stage on Sunday, February 10th, where they will compete for the title of Miss Marigot Ambassador 2013. This event was organized and planned by the Mass Marigot Carnival Committee. Member of the committee, Ms. Janice Mills, stated that the committee comprises of a group of young persons with a theme of Are We Son That, which translates into Belongs to All of Us. She says the aim of the group is to bring the community closer together through unity as the villagers work together to build the village of Marigot.
On the 10th of February at 8 p.m. we'll be having a Miss Marigot Ambassador pageant. This is the first ever ambassador pageant in Marigot. Its aim will be tied into our main theme, which is unity. Each of the contestants, we have 4 contestants, each of them will be directed to a particular theme. We have Miss Willan Davis, she represents unity in communication. We have Miss Vashti Brown, she represents unity in schools. We have Miss Patrice Dorset, she represents unity in friends. And we have Miss Torrance Dorset, she represents unity in family.
Each of the young ladies will, in various segments, showcase activities or things under the theme to inform the public on ways they can unite. The contestants will also choose a project they will showcase for the upcoming year until Carnival 2014. She said this pageant is very important when it comes to unity, as it will inform the public on how unity can be integrated in different themes so the community members can see. One contestant, Ms. Davis, will show how unity can be showcased through communication in a presentation and a talent so we can have an idea of how it was and how it should be.
So far, in terms of the girls having everything together, it has been going smoothly. The only difficulty that we have right now is sponsorship. We have sent out letters, we have requested sponsorship, but it's very limited at this time. We're still awaiting some answers. Each girl has a sponsor that is linked through the community. Ms. Davis is Jenny's Weaving Services. Ms. Vashti Brown is Classic International and Divine Business Link. Ms. Torrance, she is Infinity Beauty Supplies and Sounds. And Ms. Patrice, she is Myrtle Felix. Each of these sponsors are from Marigot. So these sponsors have come out to push or assist us more into the show, but we are still looking out for more because we have a lot more that we can get done through sponsorship.
There will be an introduction segment where the contestants will discuss the project they plan to carry out for the year, the creative segment, the swimwear segment, talent segment, and the question and answer segment. Ms. Mills stated that the young ladies are very enthusiastic about the show and the practice sessions have been going smoothly. They have also been working very hard to raise funds for the show, which shows their dedication, Ms. Mills stated. On the night of the event, she is of the view that the audience will be impressed beyond their expectations.
Queen shows or pageants in Marigot has always been good. The participation has been good, the results has been good. But this year, our aim, as I said before, is to inform our community as ways to become more united as we should be. We want to bring unity into our village, we want to bring more communication, more understanding among the schools, with parents, with teachers, more unity in families, more unity in friends. We're just trying to bring in everything. So when you come to the show, you're going to expect to be informed. Not only come and enjoy the girls' beauty and laugh and have fun, but also be informed. That's our main aim of the show, to inform our community members as to ways how they can promote unity, how we can be more united in our village.
She said unity is not just about one person, it is about everyone. Therefore, if we communicate and come together as one, the residents will make Marigot one of the best communities in Dominica. The pageant will take place on the road court in West Marigot and will begin at 8 p.m. Ms. Mills says they are planning to have the winner presented as a candidate for the Miss Dominica 2014 pageant. Anyone interested in providing sponsorship for the show can call 276-9983 at any time. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.